People really need to understand what's going on, because the problem is that we don't have a point of reference. We don't understand economics. We don't understand history, and what we're seeing happen in this country and in the economy is something that's far worse than what happened in 2008. And again, a lot of people, they don't have a point of reference because they don't study history. They don't know history. Um, but pretty much, majority of people out there have absolutely no understanding or idea economics or how it works, or the implications of uh, larger macro issues that's going on in the economy. But nonetheless, this is what's going on. Uh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a video of a Peter Schiff, and what he's doing is um, he's talking about what's going on in the uh, economy when it comes to jobs and low income jobs. So let's see what he's talking about, and I expound on that a little bit more because it's so important, to understand what he's saying. Okay, so let's see what he's talking about, and then I'll comment on it from there.
And so they fired workers instead. Now, it would have been better if they just reduced wages and they could have kept people, but the wages wouldn't have really gone down in real terms because the cost of living was going down. And by not allowing wages to fall along with other prices, labor became too expensive, and so businesses had to cut back, and so they laid people off. But now trying to force businesses to overpay their workers, they're not going to do it. I mean, they'll overpay some if they have to, but at the expense of firing a lot of other people. So there are some lucky winners from the minimum wage, but there are more losers who end up losing their jobs. But
So basically, what he's talking about is the fact that, as a direct result of inflation, the cost of living going up, what companies are doing is they're turning around. Change this light. What they're doing is they're turning around and they're increasing the minimum wage for employees in certain states. But as a direct result, a lot of people are getting fired because, hey, what happens in that situation is that, we have to pay more, or the corporations have to pay workers more money. And as a direct result, they fire the other workers to compensate, and they increase the prices. What does this have to do with the average individual out there? Because, see, the average individual, they're working these low wage jobs. And what does this have to do with homesteading? And I'm going to get to that in a second.
but now, with automation easier, there could be even more losers. And of course, the customers all lose because as a result of higher wage costs mandated by the government, prices are higher for everything that those workers are helping to produce, or all the services that they are helping to provide. But again, the people who are hurt the most are the people who don't get jobs, or the people who lose their jobs. And more importantly, their opportunity to climb up the ladder because they can't, because they don't get a job, and so they don't get the training, and so they're trapped in poverty indefinitely. And
so, who is being trapped in poverty indefinitely? What is the number one group demographic that's being trapped in this situation? It is the so-called African American or Black people. And this is why I stress real estate so much, is because from the perspective of homesteading, or whether it's homesteading community, what's happening is that people are moving from the cities to the countries, and they're getting these low slave wage jobs because those are pretty much the only jobs that are available out in the country. And I've been saying this for many, many years, ever since I've been out here, because I saw the angle, I saw the play, uh, uh, and it's more and more difficult to get the materials necessary, get the infrastructure necessary built in order to build out your homesteaded community. And so what you're seeing now is that you, whether it's groups of a family or couples, when it comes to just a husband and wife, or a group of people, they're moving out into the country. And what's happening is that they don't have the economic resources nor the skill set to build out their homesteads. And as a direct result of that, they're living in poverty. They're living in poverty. They're living in shacks. And I saw this. I saw this years ago. And I didn't want to be in that situation. And this is why I advocate real skills so much. Because now what you have is you have people living in shacks. You have people living in their financing. They're financed up the hill. I tell people all the time, I mean, hey, you can buy one of these sheds. But a lot of people they're taking, and I saw this video of a new breed out and some land that they purchased, and they have these little cabins delivered. Now I have a couple of them here, but I was able to build them out and make them livable. But the problem is that, what I'm saying, because people don't have the skill set or the ability to know anything about plumbing or electrical or sheetrock or drywall or crown molding or base molding or painting or laying down laminate flooring or tiling or framing, all of these things that are necessary in order to build out something to make it nice and livable. What you're having is what you're seeing in the situation out there with these new breed cats, where what they have is they have four walls, and they have a bed, and they have a light, and that's pretty much it. And that's just how it's going to be indefinitely in the future. And it's pretty sad. I mean, this is what we're seeing is a repeat of what happened during the Great Depression. What we're seeing is a repeat of this, where you look up how they lived back then, how the poor people lived back then. They couldn't travel much. They couldn't do anything. They didn't have any kind of skill sets. And they lived in these little shacks, these little cabin shacks, and it consisted of four walls and a potbelly stove. That's what it consisted of. Some beds, and the children slept over here, and the mother and the father slept over here, and that's just how they lived. And what we're seeing is a resurgence of this kind of lifestyle as a direct result of low skill, low slave wage jobs. What we're seeing in the car market, where people because hey, if you have a car, if you need a car to get to work, and then something happens to that car, what happens if you're 1-2 paychecks away from the street? You're not going to be able to get to work. You can't fix your car. You don't have the money to get it towed. All of these things are taking place. They're taking place now, and I'm seeing them. And it's a sad deal. And this is why I stress real skills so much. And then you got people out there that it's interesting to see homesteaders and people that came from corporate, people that were former lawyers, or doctors, or athletes, and I see those kind of people. They're doing very well. They're doing very well on their homesteads because they have skill sets, and they understand the need to get things done, and to have the drive and the motivation. And this is why I say, it's not good for all people to just go ahead and just move out into the country unless you know what you're doing. And this is why I stress over and over and over again, whether it's a homestead or community, get around people, or take time to visit homesteads, communities, and learn how to get things done. It took me 3 years to save up before I moved out into the country. But during that time, I was visiting homesteads, I was visiting communities, I was networking with other people, I was planting a garden where I was. You can see on this channel at the very beginning, you can see some of my first videos of the wood stoves that I purchased. This wood stove that I have right here, I purchased in South Jersey where I was, and then I moved to the country and I brought it here because I saw and I understood the fact that inflation was going to ravage. You look at the price of wood stoves. I'm a big low power wood stove fan. I like the idea of seeing the fire. I think it's very majestic. I think it's very exotic. I think it's very romantic. I think it's very calm and soothing. Um, but I paid like 250 for this wood stove, the same wood stove used. I'm talking about on Craigslist, on Facebook Marketplace. You're talking about $800-900 now. So how are you going to purchase a wood stove $800-900 if you are making $300-400 a week? And you have all of these expenses and stuff associated with just living. Because see, these low slave wage jobs is just enough money to come back to the next week. It's just enough money to put gas in the car, pay all your expenses, your light bill, your phone bill, because especially if you're not off grid, or if you're not set up in a self-sufficient manner, you still have a water bill, you still have a gas bill, a heating bill, you still have a phone bill, you still have a sewage bill, you still have instead of rent, a shed payment. You're talking about shed payments. You talking about $500-600 a month now for like a 12 by a 12 by 24, and not even considering taking in the fact that you still gotta make it into a livable infrastructure. You talking about car payments. I mean, you talking about used car point payments. You're talking about insurance. All of this stuff. And so by the time, and then you talking about food. Because of course, I'm saying you're a W-2 employee. So, hey, you may be entitled to some subsidies, but not many, not much, even if you're working at a Walmart job. Yeah, sure, you could be entitled to EBT or this kind of stuff, but you still got to pay pretty much a lot out of pocket. And then medical expenses come up. All the time. I'm replacing a tire here. I'm fixing something here. I'm repairing something here, and all of that stuff costs money. It costs money, and so it's grievous in the spirit to see people that are literally impoverished, and that's just how it's going to be, because this is what he's talking about here. Hey, people are set in a situation as to where they're impoverished. They're not going to be able to do anything or make any kind of moves due to the simple fact that they're in this poverty-stricken cycle. Real skills, ladies and gentlemen, real skills. Well, let's see what else he's talking about.
Many of them may end up turning to crime, which has all sorts of other negative implications for society.
Tell me about unemployment. Are the numbers that we're seeing, are they cooked? I mean, are they real numbers?
Yeah. And what we're noticing again is the crime going up. I mean, astronomical crime going up. People stealing, robbing, cheating. I mean, scams are through the roof. And see, this is why I stress over and over again. Real skills, to be able to work with the labor of your hands, to enter into a real trade. It could be a myriad of things that you can do. And I highly recommend it, because if you're not going to do that, then you're going to do this. And there's no future in that. There's no built in that. There's no growth in that. I'm seeing people now. It's amazing. They go and 5-6 families deep, renting a house, and everybody's working a slave wage job, and they've been doing that for 5, 6, 7, 8 years or whatever, and still not on community, and still not on community. It's sad. It really is sad, but hey, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I just don't want a lot of people, especially those who got potential out there, to end up in this situation, because it's pretty sad And then all you got left is that religious spirit. Or that's all you got left. Because you're impoverished, your children are being raised in poverty. They don't have access to health care. They don't have access to anything. They're pretty much, hermits on a piece of land because they're poor. Everybody's poor. And as the price of gas go up, as the price of car insurance go up, as the price of all these things continue to go up, what do you think is going to happen? People are going to be more and more isolated. They're going to get more and more poor, and they're going to get more and more angry, and they're going to lash out in society. And this is why I say, we're at the beginning stages of this, and it's already bad out there now, but it's going to go from bad to worse. Prepare your hearts, prepare your families. I just don't want to see people in these kind of situations because it's pretty sad. It really is. It is pretty sad.